Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello everybody at home and welcome to Houselights, House of Coppola. Tonight we are going to be talking about the 1996 film directed by Francis Ford Coppola, Jack, because we are dissecting, diving into, and all around exploring 90s Coppola. Now the main reason why we did this is because we wanted to finish the Godfather trilogy, but with that came some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Baggage?
And
one of those is a Louis Vuitton bag, though, but hey, that's fine.
And with me, as they are every single week, Darren Moser, Dr. Sci-Fi himself, and John Mills, a.k.a. Kessel Junkie. Darren, I want to ask you, what did you know about Jack? Did you know that Jack existed before
I had
podcast?
seen Jack before. Yeah. No, I had seen this before.
You'd seen it. You'd seen it.
Probably not in theaters. Probably this might have been like a Blockbuster home video rental or something like that, you know. But yeah, like, you know, the Mrs. Doubtfire era, that 90s Robin Williams era where, like, you know, pretty much all of his stuff was pretty good. So it wasn't a hard sell when you're walking the halls of Blockbuster. Kids, ask your parents. But yeah, no, so had already seen it, but it had been probably a decade or two since then. So I mean, I knew he was Jack, and I knew that he aged fast. And I remember that last shot of the graduation where he's old. So I kind of knew the main beats of the story, but I could not remember. I didn't remember that Bill Cosby was in it or that Jennifer Lopez was in it. And yeah, but we'll get into the emotions of this movie a little later.
You know, one thing I thought about actually before, John, we talk about your first encounter with this film, is that with some of these more obscure ones, as we go on further down the road, some people who are listening might not have seen them or might not be following along or might not have even heard of them. So here is the IMDb summary of Jack. Because of an unusual disorder that has aged him 4 times faster than a typical human being, a boy looks like a 40-year-old man as he starts 5th grade at public school after being homeschooled. And
so it's a homeschool movie. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Right.
Who better an actor than Robin Williams to play a 10-year-old? Now, John, had you seen this movie before this podcast? If
Nope.
not, like, what did you know about the movie?
I knew that it existed. I remember the ad campaign from 1996, and I remember my reaction at the time seeing it and seeing the, you know, it's a 10-year-old in a 40-year-old body. Yeah. Starring Robin Williams. It's like, yeah, that follows. Sure. And then it gets to, you know, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And I remember I was not the only one of my friends to say, what the hell did they just say? Like, huh? And
is that a typo? It's got to be a typo.
Yeah. Is it Francis Ford's Coppola, like another guy that's trying to ride off his coattails or something?
It's like it's like P.T. Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson. Eden Cohen. Yeah.
My name is Francis Ford, but people call me Coppola. It's like there's like a comma and a semicolon in there somewhere.
I did not watch it back then, though, because I just saw the trailer and I was like, number one, I couldn't believe it was Coppola. And number two, it just looked like the movie had nothing for me. It looked like typical old school live action Disney grist for the mill, where they just would spit something out and it would get $20 million from the parents that were forced to take their kids, and then it was done. And so this was my first encounter with it. What about you, Tristan? Do you have a poster of this on your wall next to your girl with the dragon tattoo poster?
Man, that would be amazing. I would love that. Like that reminds me of this is a total 100% tangent. But there was one time when I first started dating my now wife, and we were getting serious, and she invited me over to Christmas. And I said, I was like, okay, well, I want to buy your dad a movie, Like what could I buy him? I'm thinking like, like I could get him like Transformers on Blu-ray. Like that's a dad movie. It's an action film. It's mindless stuff. And she's like, no, I mean, he wouldn't really want to watch Transformers. He's much more of a just friends, Godfather kind of guy. And I'm like, what? How is that? How does that give me any kind of direction?
He likes everything from zany comedy to weighty dramas. Great. That's a narrow field.
But he won't watch anything that begins with the letter U. It's really specific.
Yeah,
that's right.
He can't stand Unbreakable. Won't watch it.
U571 out.
Absolutely not a chance.
So I first saw this, this came out in 96 and I saw it in 96. I didn't see it at the theater, but I saw it right when it came out on video because, I was a big, Darren, you were talking about this, about 90s Robin Williams. I mean, he was
Aladdin,
kind of like
Doubtfire, all this great stuff.
He was kind of like Jim Carrey in the 90s where it's just hit after hit after hit. And I was just a huge fan of his, and I loved his style. I loved his improvisational style, and I wanted to see it. My parents had no interest in this. They're just like, no, please, God, no. We don't want to see this. But this came out in 96. I was born in 86, so I was 10 years old when this came out.
You were in the movie. It's made for you, Tristan.
It felt like it was made for me, and I remember just absolutely falling in love with this movie as a 10-year-old. I thought it was great because I saw myself on the screen. And I thought Robin Williams was great. I thought Diane Lane was great. I thought the kids were funny. And it's this was one of the first soundtracks I ever bought. I don't know why. I bought the score. No one bought the score to this film, but I did. And I owned it. I purchased it with my own money, brought it home, unwrapped it, listened to it, took it on road trips. That's what I did. Can't explain it.
I love this movie.
And I don't think I owned it. I don't think I did, but I remember watching it more than a few times. But that was long ago. I mean, I think the last time I saw it, I was 12. And then I saw it for this. And boy, was that a different experience.
Yeah, I imagine it was. This is a really weird experience watching this movie. I don't know
describe that, John. What kind of how would you encapsulate that experience, your watching experience? What was going through your mind while you were watching it?
I actually sent a text to my friend Joey, who his name comes up every so often. I've known him since I was 15 years old. And I sent him a text message where I said, hey, I'm watching Jack for Houselights. So I have to review it. And then there's a space, and then it says, what effing timeline am I in where the writer director of Apocalypse Now directed this? It's bizarre. It's I had trouble even really focusing on the movie because I was sitting there looking at it, thinking to myself, there is absolutely nothing that would commend this to future generations or anybody else as a work of art. This is something you give to a journeyman director who is just getting into the business. I need something on my CV. I need Disney to vouch for me. I need everybody to say that I managed to get this done and I stayed on budget and released it on time. And I didn't have any problems on the set and anything like that. And if I recall correctly, that was actually a reason that Coppola cited as doing the movie, was just to show that he wasn't difficult to work with or something like that, because his reputation even after Dracula was it's Francis Ford Coppola. He's going to be a little nutty and always over budget sort of thing.
Well, the story behind how Francis Ford Coppola directed this is Disney pissed off Robin Williams with Aladdin because he had a clause in his contract, or it was a handshake agreement, I can't remember, that they weren't going to either use his name or overly I've heard a couple different things where they weren't supposed to use his name in the marketing for Aladdin, or they weren't supposed to use his likeness or voice in toys and merchandising. I think it was the merchandising thing that really tipped it over, and they did.
Yeah.
It pissed him off, and
because he had another movie that came out the same time as Aladdin that he was actively promoting, and it just got landslided by all of the Aladdin marketing. It just didn't stand a chance.
Right. And so like him and Disney were really at odds, and Disney at the time like needed Robin Williams' star power for these kind of movies. And so what they did was that they said, here's the script. We want you to make this movie. We absolutely apologize for screwing you over and doing this stuff with the merchandise, doing the stuff with your name. It's like, this is our apology. You'll have some creative control with this. Like, we want you to do this. Here's a nice paycheck, and you get to pick the director. And Robin Williams said, I want my friend Francis Ford Coppola to direct this because he's always wanted to work with Francis Ford Coppola, and Francis Ford Coppola always wanted to work with Robin Williams. And so he's just like, yeah, sure, fine, what?
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, it
That's
makes
the
sense
reason?
on paper.
That's the reason. Yeah, that is 100% the reason.
I'm stunned that that's the reason. I'll give a lot of credit then to Coppola for sticking by his buddy, being like, yeah, sure, okay, I'll do this. But yeah, I had always thought that story about Coppola wanting to rehab his image a little bit was true, because it's 4 years between Dracula and this. So it's a little strange that this winds up being his project that shoots out of the gate after, this big stylistic quasi nudie pick that he does in
I was going to say
1992.
very sexual and violent movie.
He's working out some weird stuff in Dracula. And
because the executive producers are like, okay, so I've never seen a Coppola. What should I watch to acquaint myself with this director? Well, they're like, well, not this, not that.
Yeah.
Just go with the name. Just
right.
Just close your eyes and grin.
Yeah. It's and the thing is, okay, I said this, I wound up going to the movies with one of my kids. I let her pick, and this was back in, it was 2020, because the theaters were empty and everything, and they released like The War with Grandpa with Robert De Niro, and it looked absolutely god-awful. But she wanted to watch, she said, I just want to go watch something dumb and maybe funny. And I was like, okay, that's great, kiddo. Sure. And I remember having very low expectations going in. And when I came out of it, somebody asked me what I thought of it. And I said, the intentions behind a family movie like this are so good, so pure, so unique, like uniquely targeted to family friendliness, that you're trying to just deliver a nice saccharine moral to kids about, loving and accepting who you are and going on and having a good life and knowing that people will love you. That I have a very hard time coming down on the movies as hard as I want to, because this is so, you know what? Let me throw it to you, Darren. Is there anything, if you took Francis Ford Coppola's name off of this and you watched this and you had no knowledge of it, is there a single moment in this movie where you would say, that reminds me of a Coppola movie? Anything at all?
Now, you can't take the pause out of editing, Tristan. You got to leave all.
I was just thinking that. I was about to write a note about Darren pauses, but then I was like, nope, we got to leave that in.
The only thing that comes to mind is I feel like the opening sequence of him being born is so overproduced. Like, I mean, the amount of money that they spend on like all the adults' costumes and that costume set. Like, I felt like I was in a Hocus Pocus. Like everybody has a costume. Everybody's costume is like on point. And then the puns play off. The dad in the Tin Man goes through the metal detector. Ha. He doesn't realize it's metal. The guy who's a pack of cigarettes is trying to smoke in the hospital, and they chastise him for it, and then we get this like POV of the kid being born, and it's like, and then maybe this is a cut scene from Bicentennial Man, because we have the weird futuristic medical equipment.
Seriously,
That's kind
like,
of
what was with the robots?
I don't know.
I got nothing.
But
that seems like so overly complicated. Like, why would you need a robot to do that? Like,
I
that
don't
seems
know.
like more work than just doing it yourself.
So that part felt like this is something. Again, yeah, I can't draw a straight line to Coppola, but that felt very like, okay, the story of the script that he was handed was Jack is 10 and he's going to school tomorrow. And he's like, well, I got to show him being born, I guess. And, added this. And I don't know if this is the way it came down, but that sequence, again, it was so not, I mean, I say overproduced, you know what I mean? Like there's so much put into that it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't, I mean, it adds a little to the story, and the parents are like, maybe they're having to set up so much the whole plausibility of him aging fast, but I don't think they needed to do it with a 10-minute, Halloween party montage. But anyway, so I'd say that moment felt like it. But yeah, the whole rest of the movie, anyone's name could have been on it. Anyone.
Side note, why are like these adult Halloween parties only exist in the movies?
Yeah, no.
Correct.
Nobody ever goes to these. Yeah.
No.
They don't exist.
Not at all.
I would love to go to one of these and have fun with no kids and dress up and be stupid. But no. Like, they just don't exist.
That doesn't happen.
Can I throw out, and I know this is going to sound kind of like weird and zany, but is it entirely possible that these types of parties are a Hollywood sort of thing? And so people making movies, they think this is how the rest of us live, and the rest of us look at it. And like you were just saying, do these exist? Like, who does this?
Maybe.
Right?
I just feel like adults don't have enough bandwidth to care to get a good costume and and then go and show up and drink. Like, it feels like, you know what? Let's take the energy of a New Year's Eve party and put costumes on it. That's literally what they did, but that doesn't exist. People don't do that. Right. Or at least the parties I'm invited to aren't like that. So.
And you know what kills me about the movie is that, like, Darren, like you said, they put so much effort into the Halloween party. They put so much money into it. And there's even a wine bottle that is Coppola's vintage. Like, the wine bottle in the scene is Coppola's own vintage.
Of course it is.
I thought was hilarious. But they put so much effort into it. But then later on in the film, Jack says that he was born on September 12th.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I'll be honest. I stopped paying close attention by that point. I really had stopped paying close attention by that point. Like, the entire experience was what I imagine. Like,
a fever dream was like.
Yeah. No, like one of those like drug trips that Oliver Stone has in the movie The Doors, where like reality is sort of like going in and out, is basically my relationship with this movie, where it's like right now you could be like, don't you remember the scene where they talk about particle physics and they find out that Jack is a savant? I'd be like, okay, sure. I'd buy it. Sure.
I think I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Hey.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, this is, I don't even know where to go from here. It's, there were things. Let me talk about, like, I'm glad that you asked the question about like where you see Coppola, because as I was watching this, I kept looking, I kept trying to find it, and I couldn't. And like, if you look at the cinematography, the editing, the camera tricks that they used about speeding up time or like messing with the shutter speed, none of that's Coppola. Like, none of that is Coppola. And so I have no idea like where he is in this. I really don't. I think the only thing that I can think of where we see Coppola is how dynamic and realistic the dramatic parts were. Like, if you think about how, like, after his encounter with Ms. Marquez, and then he falls down the stairs, and then the scene where, like, his mom tells him that he's not going to go back to school, or the scene that he has with his tutor about the shooting stars, like those scenes were really well done, and I think the reason why those scenes shine in an otherwise messy movie is because that's Coppola's wheelhouse, at least in my opinion.
I'll give that. I will cede that, because I don't think that there's anything in those scenes that is so particularly special that I'd be like, only a master like Coppola could do this.
No, and that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all.
I mean, we are
all
giving
I'm
him
saying is-
credit that Coppola did pull out this performance from Williams and the other actors and the kids, which is highly difficult to do. So we're giving him at least that base level credit. But I think we're all kind of in agreement. There's no Spielberg shot or, Cameron moment that we're like, oh, well, that's it. At most we can get is that opening scene was very odd and a different kind of, and this movie is a movie of two tones because it's a movie of fun and childhood and joy and like death and future and sadness, and it's like it swings back and forth a lot.
It does, and I think that part of that tone is maybe why we wind up with such a sweet ending, because and look, it's not like I'm sitting here campaigning and saying a truly great film about a 10-year-old in a 40-year-old's body would feature Jack dying of his heart attack, 3/4 of the way through, and people coping with the loss and having lots of tears and everything.
That's really specific. So you thought about that. You clearly thought about that.
I'm saying that's not what this movie. I'm saying I'm not campaigning for that. I'm saying, like, he has his heart problems and everything, but there's never, and it's so dumb to say it this way, but if you're going to bring Coppola in on this and Coppola is going to spend his time to do this, I would expect something with more meat on the bone instead of something that's just, we set up the camera, we got the shot, we were done. Even Williams seems muted in this, and Robin Williams is extremely capable of delivering incredible dramatic performances and also completely memorable, insane comedy performances, right? There's all of the stories from Aladdin and Mrs. Doubtfire about how they basically just hit record and they said, do it. And he just went crazy, and then they just found it in the editing booth. I don't get the sense of finding anything in the editing bay here. I get a sense of him standing on his mark and doing what he's told because it's Francis Ford Coppola, and Coppola isn't going to say, okay, just turn the cameras on and run. And so while I respect the fact that they're friends and they want to work together, their styles don't mesh. Coppola is, for lack of a better term, an authoritarian. He's a control freak. You're going to do this. The lights are going to be here. You're going to do this. That's what's going to happen. And Robin Williams, all of his best performances are back up, make sure everything stays in focus, maybe set up 3 cameras and just let him do his thing until he falls asleep. And then we'll go to, and we'll edit something together.
I can't see Coppola being like, okay, Robin, take 20. We got to get it right this time. It's like, no, each of these shots was like 2 takes at most. And
right.
Then they moved on.
Yeah. This definitely felt like a 2 takes frakes kind of moment, or kind of movie, I should say. John, I can't argue with anything that you said there. Like there was a few times when you could feel the improvisation a little bit, like when he was on the phone with his dad when he was super excited about having his first good day at school, and then some moments in the treehouse, like you could tell, like they were riffing a little bit, but in a 90s Robin Williams movie, that is incredibly tame by comparison to the rest of his filmography in that decade.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he felt he had to dial it down because, unlike you were saying, John, I mean, when he's going on all thrusters, it's like almost overwhelming. And there was never an overwhelming moment. So, and maybe that was somehow on how it's combined with him also trying to portray this as a 10-year-old child. So he's not going to act at adult level intensity. Otherwise that spell is broken. So it's not, I mean, I think he did great in this role, but it like the Coppola pairing, it's also kind of counterintuitive of Robin Williams' style and the role of a 40-year-old in a 10-year-old's body. How do you combine those without breaking the spell?
Yeah.
I think that's a
good
really
point. Yeah.
solid point. I think that's a really solid point because there was a few times, like during the treehouse stuff, like when you could tell he was improvising, there was just a little hint of like, oh, that is Robin Williams. That's not Jack. That's Robin Williams in the treehouse. And so I totally get what you're saying.
And the kids are more reacting to what he's doing, and it's more free flowing, and that feels like a set up the camera and Robin, do your thing with the kids, you know. But that was it, like the treehouse and maybe one or two other scenes at most.
I want to talk about the kids a little bit. So we're all guys here, and we were all 10-year-old boys at one point. Do you? Maybe I was too sheltered, or I don't remember being this sexualized or sexually aware at 10 years old. Was that a thing? And no judgment here. This is a safe space, just between the three of us, nobody else.
And everybody listening.
Yeah, I was going to say, in our
right.
streamed podcast.
Like, just forget that those people are listening. Like, were you guys like, were you guys like sneaking Playboys and penthouses at 10 years old? Or like, did you have friends who did that? Like let's say, instead of saying you did it, let's say a friend. Like, did you have a friend who did this?
This is starting to feel like that HBO show Taxi Cab Confessions or whatever it was back in the 90s. Okay. I always qualify things by saying this. My mom's family was extremely large. I was born in the middle of the pack of cousins, and we all basically grew up like brothers and sisters. We were relatively close, both physically and emotionally at that point in our lives. So at 10, I was hanging around anybody between the ages of 5 and 20. So yes, by the time I was 10, I was extremely aware of a lot of things in the world that possibly young Tristan wasn't.
Okay,
and
all right.
While I was never precocious enough to seek certain things out. I was very much aware of their existence and may have encountered them from time to time because teenagers can be a little sloppy with where they leave things laying around and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Is that a political enough answer right there?
I think you danced around that pretty well.
Okay,
I think you did.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Darren, like, did you have a group of 10-year-old boyfriends who were like sex obsessed at that age?
No, we were all giant nerds and like played Star Trek and Legos and N64 and all of that stuff. So yeah, no, I think similar to John, we're just, obviously there's stuff you learn and know, but we definitely weren't seeking it. It's not, and maybe that's more of a Hollywood thing. It's what it kind of feels like, this is what boys' sleepovers are like, whereas I feel it's more maybe in tune with like the Sandlot era where it's like, you're just hanging out, you're having fun, and you're calling each other's names and being jerks to each other, but there's not that, oh, girls, Little Rascals angle in it yet.
And that's where I'll put the addendum. Yes, with my friends who were not blood related to me, that was never a thing. It was only when I was in the realm of the damned. Yeah, the realm of the damned is where I encountered all of that stuff.
Okay, that makes me feel better, or not better or worse or anything like that. That makes me
validate your existence. It's okay.
Yeah, they're completely. Because even when I watched this at 10 years old, and when I watched it today, I'm just like, I don't remember doing that. Like, I don't remember being sex obsessed at 10 years old. That just feels really young. And I thought like him going and buying the penthouse with the nun behind him. Yeah, of course, that's jokey and goofy. That's and everything like that. Like,
it writes itself.
If it was just that, I think that would have been funny. But the whole, like, they made it a thing. Like it was something that came up like 3 times. They had a conversation about erections and everything like that. I'm just like, this is like, I know that boys can be gross, but it just felt way too old. Like, it felt like if they were 12 or 13 or 14, maybe, but not 10.
Well, I think it's the crux again of the 40-year-old and the 10-year-old body problem. And anytime, like, Williams almost can't be a unique character. He has to be a stereotypical 10-year-old boy, because anywhere outside of those lines, you start to feel like, well, this isn't a 10-year-old boy. This is just John Williams or just Robin Williams.
I would love to see that movie.
Robin Williams as John Williams if he had been accelerated 4 times the aging rate.
Sorry, your hair's gone already, John. It's gone. But you know what I mean? Like he's got to walk that tightrope, and if he pushes too far out, then you're going to start thinking, wow, this is really deep and serious for a 10-year-old, but they kind of play it safer on the zany, 10-year-old antic side. Again, it's a very hard line to walk.
I agree. I think that absolutely is, a very good and valid point. I think though that coming back to the behavior of 10-year-old boys, I can also say that as somebody who did put up with the occasional bullying sort of thing, where, it helped shape my personality because making jokes makes people laugh, and people who laugh don't want to harass you sort of thing. I can also tell you that a 10-year-old boy who encountered any sort of bullying on the playground, right, with the body of a 40-year-old, he'd be caving people's chests in. He'd be like, "Oh, really?" And he just smacks somebody down.
What if I pick you up and drop you? That's all I got to do.
Stand there and just hold your hands up. No, listen here. I'm calling the shots right now. That's just what's going to happen.
Right.
So
I think they definitely went out of their way to show how gentle of a soul he was.
Yeah, and how sheltered his upbringing was.
How sheltered. Yeah, exactly. Like, speaking of which, let's talk about the supporting cast. Let's start with Diane Lane, the mom, who doesn't have a name. It's just straight up mom.
Yeah, I love it when the credits roll that it's like mom, and I'm like, wait, did we not hear her name? And I'm like, wait, yeah, they just kept saying Jack's mom. Okay, here we go.
Mrs. Powell, Jack's mom. Oh, wait, but on IMDb it says Karen Powell.
Oh,
maybe he says Karen in the delivery room at some point.
In the credits, though, it just said mom.
I know what
yeah.
It's crazy.
In that special font we all love, whatever that was.
Whatever the hell that was.
I don't know.
The best.
Could have sworn I saw Wingdings make an appearance in there. So Diane Lane as the mom, I always really liked her performance. I really liked her character because, like Jack was her entire life. He was the beginning and end. The parents were devoted to giving him a good existence, even if it wasn't going to be a normal one. That's and they kind of say that with Louis at the beginning. Like Louis gives all that exposition where it's just like, oh yeah, they buy him everything because he never leaves the house. We've seen that storyline before, like with Bubble Boys and things like that. And I love that they, like, when Louis went to the door and she shows up, she has a Power Ranger mask on. She's got the gun. She's got the armor with the lights and the sounds. You could tell that, like, she doesn't just spend time with her son. Like, she plays with her son. And she was his best friend. And I really loved that they showed her struggle along with Jack's struggle. That's one thing I really did enjoy about the movie. Like, John, what did you think about Diane Lane's performance or storyline?
Yes, I think that Diane Lane made the most of what she had happening in this film. I do. I think that she, to get back to your point where you said, oh, well, in these dramatic scenes, maybe that's where we see Coppola coming out. I think that, yes, she showed up. She knew she was in a Francis Ford Coppola movie, and she came ready to give a performance worthy of, I'm in a Francis Ford Coppola movie, with the caveat that the script doesn't support it necessarily. She makes the most of what she has. And so I think that she is probably the most empathetic character in it. You do understand how much she loves Jack, how much she wants to protect him, how much she wants to, shelter him from the outside world so that he doesn't get hurt, so that he doesn't have, pain in his life. And honestly, maybe then that just shows that her performance was something that Coppola should have paid more attention to as a way to give this movie a way out of the corner that it's written into. And that could have guided him through, as sort of like the true north for how to put things together. I don't know.
Darren, what about you?
Yeah, no, I really liked her performance. It felt, genuine and plausible, based on the circumstances, and yeah, she was his whole world, and she has to go through. Obviously, she wants him to have friends, but that means less time for her. And the only moment I can think of that they didn't address, which isn't a huge deal, but like when he comes back from the bar, it's like midnight and we get like nothing. Like
Nothing.
and they're not like out front being like, "Oh dear God, thank you. I'm so happy you're home. Like, where have you been?" Nothing. And it's just like the next day and it's like nothing happened. I'm like, well, I mean, it is your 10-year-old son who just wandered in at 11 o'clock at night, like with a busted lip.
He got hit in the
smelling
face.
of whiskey.
His jacket was torn. He smells like alcohol. He has lipstick on his face. He smells like jail. Come on.
Nothing.
It smells like jail.
And then it's like the next it smells like jail. Yeah, the next day. But yeah, no, but I loved her performance. I think I mean all the adults I think did a good job. It's a very tight cast, very small. Like it's there's just as many kids as there are adults, really.
Yeah, there's the thing is though, like let's jump right on over to Fran Drescher, who
completely unnecessary storyline.
Yeah, that storyline is bizarre. It takes away screen time, and additionally, I
mean,
will say
going for a big vibe. Like I got a bit of that, but it's not. It's different though. It's different than Big.
That's the weird thing though, is because I didn't see Big until I was an adult, and I had a problem with a very specific part of Big because I was like, that's not right. Especially if you both know he's really, at least with this, the punch was pulled enough where it was like she legitimately didn't know he was 10, I guess, until the end when they suddenly accelerated and she had another husband and everything was okay.
But again, we never talk about it ever.
No,
like there's no reveal moment. It's
like you know that there was going to be that reveal moment. Like I think like when we fast forward to 2003, and you see Fran Drescher and she's married and everything like that, you know that like, oh man, there was that conversation. There was there was that realization where she's like, holy crap, am I going to go to jail?
Well, maybe it's the same realization as suddenly Jack has a kid sister that materialized between.
Well, but that was
eras.
Answering a question posed in the beginning where the parents were talking about like how, well, the mom specifically was like, I don't want another kid. Like, what if it's going to have the same thing as Jack and I can't handle that? And so that's answering that open-ended question with, obviously they chose to have another kid, and the kid looks, under 7 years or whatever the time jump was. So sometime during that period, they worked it out and had another kid. So I felt fine with that answer. I mean, it said a lot in just having her be there. You knew how the conversation had gone.
See, I think I was so desperate for something more interesting than that in this movie that when I saw her, I wondered maybe she's actually only a month old in this scene, and we're setting up the sequel Jill to take place
Jack
after
Jill.
this.
Jeez.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
Well, it would be better than Adam Sandler's movie at least. So, but then again, what isn't?
So Jennifer Lopez, seeing this made me realize how freaking well she has aged.
Yes,
because she looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I thought I liked her character. I thought they did a good job of not crossing any lines where she's excited that he's doing well, but she's not showing.
She's an elementary school teacher,
Yeah. She is an elementary school teacher. They didn't sexualize her. They didn't make her weird. They didn't make anything awkward. Like they made things awkward, but in a way that it was intended. Like it was supposed to be awkward. That was supposed to be weird. But she pulled it off as an elementary school teacher. I really appreciate that because I feel like so many times you see teachers on screen, and as someone who is married to a teacher, who was a teacher, and has teachers in the family, like there's so many times I'll watch movies and TV shows and I'm like, a teacher would never do this. Like, never in a million years.
Well, and
Yeah.
I wanted more of the principal, like right from the bat. I'm like, this guy, I like this guy. Like, he's energetic. He's, and then it was like nothing. Like, I don't think he showed up again in the rest of the movie. But
the thing is, what do I know him from? I know him from something, and we all know I'm the laziest podcaster on the planet. So what else do I know him from? Like, I'm not the only person looking at him. I'm like, I know him from something. What do I know him from? Is it like a commercial or something like that? I just,
Well, he was in. I mean, he's been a bit player in a lot of different things. Like, this was actually his last movie.
But he's not like a Coppola go-to type of guy, is he?
No. Like, he's a character actor. He's played a cabbie. He's played guy on the side number 2. He's played a bank teller. Things like that. Like, he's been in So I Married an Axe Murderer, Peggy Sue Got Married, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That's where I know him from. So I Married an Axe Murderer, because I love that movie. So that's what I know him from.
Love that movie.
That movie is a singular pleasure to watch. It truly, truly is. Anyway, but that's not this movie, Jack. That's the thing. You know who I think gets overshadowed very big time in this is Dad, Brian Kerwin. Like, he's
not Bill Paxton, because
no.
There were times when I'm looking at him sideways through the glass and I'm like, I know it's not him, but he's given major 90s Bill Paxton vibes.
But he's strangely, the script has him in there, but he's not really there.
Yeah,
like, he's not
he
really
doesn't
fully
do too
formed.
much.
He just exists so that the mom can talk to him in a couple of scenes, basically. There's no, like, Diane Lane I see as a character. We can talk about her arc and what she's dealing with and all of those sorts of things. Whereas the dad character is like, he's there. It's like, well, but although obviously he does very well at whatever it is he does, because that house is pretty fantastic.
And they can afford a full-time tutor.
Yeah, exactly. And all of that sort of things. So it's like, it's really odd, because the script, I don't know if it's Coppola acting on the script. I don't know if it's the script itself or what have you, but the mom feels fully formed. Jack is as fully formed as he can be, but the tutor gets more attention than Dad does in the script. So does Fran Drescher's character, Dolores. She gets more attention. And it's like,
true.
Why not Dad?
I mean, it almost could have been a
much for him
single
to do.
parent type of situation, except for
Right.
they didn't want to do that, and he just provides the money and just is there. But yeah, we don't get any time. Release the dad cut, Francis.
I think,
we know you need
honestly,
to.
I think that's the only reason why he exists, is because they need someone for Diane Lane to bounce off of, and they don't want to answer the whole single parent issue. We're like, if she's a single parent, like, how can she spend all of her time with him? How can he be homeschooled? How can they afford it? And just at the same time, it asks too many questions, and so they just need a stand-in. They just need a guy to deliver a few lines and just be there. Now, you talked about the tutor. This was the first time I saw Bill Cosby
I was
in a
hoping
movie.
we'd avoid this. I was really
I don't think we
this.
can. I don't think we can. Like, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, and this is not going to be a soapbox. This is not going to be going down the road. But watching it the first time, like watching it when I was a kid, of course I loved seeing Bill Cosby because he was Bill friggin' Cosby. Now, even though I don't think this is a good movie, and it's a very different experience because I'm older now and I'm not a 10-year-old. Like, seeing Bill Cosby in it was adding insult to injury. And I just want to know real quick from you guys, because I am one who can very much divorce the artist from the art. I mean, 99% of the time I can, but this one was tough, especially because he's supposed to be this person who's around kids. This person's supposed to be understanding and insightful and, and everything like that. And you're just like, oh man, I couldn't watch any scene with him and not think about that, even though he does a really good job in this film. Darren, did you have a hard time?
A little.
Did you not think about it?
I just kind of went with this snapshot of time in 96. This was Bill Cosby. And yeah, I mean, it was Bill Cosby. It's like, but it did kind of give me vibes of like, it's a little left field, but like watching Capricorn 1 and what's his
O.J.
name?
Simpson.
O.J. Simpson's in it. And it's like,
Yeah.
after the O.J. Simpson Bronco drive, like you can't not think of that when you see them in something. So obviously not the exact same situation, but yeah, I was able to kind of compartmentalize it of like, okay, in the 90s, he's at his height
Good.
of like his popularity, and he did a really good job, I think, in this role. Like I believed him. I felt the way he acted, you know, as a tutor and, you know, trying to listen to the kids and, you know, being the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess, in that Rube Goldberg type construction. But no, I liked his performance. You know, I can like his performance without liking the actor. I mean, there's many people we can do that with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I'll be as fast as I can. Yes, in terms of divorcing the person from the art, my favorite band of all time is The Doors, and I know more about Jim Morrison than probably anybody else on the face of the planet. And if anybody can divorce art from artist, there you go. There's the whole thing, right? With Cosby, he was one of my favorite comics growing up. I had his albums. I know certain routines by Cosby literally to this day, like the back of my hand. I still laugh at them. I still adore them. I still think they're great. Every so often I'll still listen to one because it's just audio. And when it's just audio and it's behind you and it's like something you know by rote, it's like there's no visual component to play off of. And so that's fine. With this, it was weird. This is the first time I've ever had a situation where it was weird because, again, like you guys have said, it's a fine performance. But when I see him now, because Bill Cosby's visage is so specific, that's what made it so difficult to divorce it from everything else this time, because I'm looking at this dude.
And it's not old Cosby. It's not current
Right.
Cosby. It's like what we remember Cosby looking like, that snapshot in time.
And for anybody who might be a little bit younger listening to this, it is hard. It's just as hard to convey how immensely popular and culturally impactful Cosby was. It's like trying to tell somebody who didn't witness it firsthand, you have no idea how big Michael Jordan was. It is even if you watch The Last Dance, if you didn't live through that era, I cannot convey to you how big Michael Jordan was. He was bigger than John Lennon, right? And it's like Bill Cosby was the same thing. He had the #1 rated show. He had endless comedy albums. He was
commercials, billboards,
the Jell-O spokesman, all of that stuff. You can't possibly overstate what a huge star he was. And so but again, I think it's the visual thing that just makes it harder here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm glad we touched on that because this was a part of the viewing experience and I think it needed to be talked about, but I think we can move on, and I don't want to end on that note, but like let's talk about, we talked about things that didn't work. We talked about things that we did like. We talked about the side cast and Williams and everything like that. Like as you walk away from this film, what, like when you think about this film, what pops into your head, whether it's positive or negative? And Darren, I'm gonna go with you first.
Well, I always think of the end scene. I mean, it's the Fisher King moment. It's the, you know, the speech at the end. And Cosby aside, you know, we've talked enough about him. I was more, because I forgot that Cosby was in this movie. Like, I'm just like, oh, look, there's Bill Cosby on my screen. But I mean, I knew that moment at the end with old Robin Williams in quotes. And I was more like, how am I going to feel about that? Because this is probably, I mean, are the kids and I watched Flubber a little bit ago, but besides that, this is the first Robin Williams movie I've really watched since his death. And so now where he was older, like in, real time. And so I was like, how is that going to affect me watching, obviously young Robin playing old Robin? But yeah, because I think he's supposed to be whatever 18 times 4 is. So he's like 73, quote unquote, age in this movie. And I think he passed when he was like 67 or something like that. But yeah, that was, I mean, even without Robin's passing, that is a very emotional scene, at least for me. Like it's meant to be that gut punch, that, that Dead Poet Society, moment where, we're whatever the tone of this movie was, this is the tone now, and we're gonna deliver this, carpe diem speech. And but yeah, I don't know, it just had a big mix of emotions for me, of this man and, knowing what we know of his career and the demons he faced and the course of his life. I looked up, his IMDb page and his Wikipedia page, and just kind of looked over, the things he had done, and USO, and naming his kid Zelda, and his love of video games, and all that. And it felt like the kind of thing you would put at the end of a tribute video for Robin Williams. Like, I mean, there's so many, maybe not the best choice. There's many poignant choices, but old Jack, I mean, I remember it being an impactful scene watching it when I was younger, but yeah, that was, going into it, I was like, what is this going to be like, old Jack, after now Robin has passed? Did you guys have anything like that when you got to that scene, or was it just an emotional scene because it is always an emotional scene? Or how did the, what did you say, 2003 moment?
Yeah.
I don't think that the last scene impacted, like, landed with me as well as it could have, because I had sort of just, I think I was just divorced from the movie by that point, where it was just like,
It's kind of the coda, if anything. Like,
yeah,
we know we're gonna have it, but it just wraps up everything.
I will say this, that if anything sticks with me about this movie that I will always remember, is, and Tristan, you called it out earlier, the font. I think that font will always, stick with me, and I will think to myself, I will say this, that this viewing experience is singular enough that there are a lot of movies I've forgotten I've even seen, but I know that this will remain lodged in my memory for a very long time, because I have Michael McKean in a purposely bad toupee. I have Fran Drescher and Robin Williams in a bar fight. I have these odd treehouse scenes. There's so much about this. This movie, I want to be clear, does not work on pretty much any level, but there are so many things about it that are so uniquely dysfunctional that it will stick with me for a very long time.
I didn't think about it. I think I probably purposely didn't think about Robin Williams not being here. My I had an aunt who died way too young, and she was she lived near us, and then she moved to Las Vegas, and she passed away in Vegas. And my mother always says, like, oh, well, Penny's just in Vegas. She's not gone. She's just in Vegas. And that's kind of how I feel about Robin Williams. I was like, he's not gone. He's just not making movies right now. And I know that might sound silly, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, when I'm watching a Robin Williams movie, I try not to think about it. And that's kind of where I land on it. And I don't have much to say beyond that. So with this film, I think we've been dancing around it. We haven't outright said it. I think I outright said it once, but I'm aching to know what you guys are going to rank this. Darren, what's your number? How many erectors are you giving this?
Which is funny because
this film.
he thought he meant erector set, which is why he said he wanted it for Christmas, which I thought was that was a pretty good joke.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Erector sets. I don't know what you pervs are thinking.
Jeez. How many butterfly rafter shattering butterflies do I give it? I will give it I'm going to give it a 3.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Isn't that higher than what you gave the Terminator?
Oh, you guys keep bringing up the Terminator.
Listen,
John keeps bringing up the Terminator.
It's a useful metric to know what baseline we're working with here. I'm a scientist at heart. So our baseline is the Terminator a 2 and Jack gets a 3. Okay. That just, it helps me keep things in perspective.
I gave The Godfather Part 3 a 3.
True.
But and only because I like that emotional impact at the end. I feel it pulls it off in the 11th hour. Like if they didn't have that, I think it would be a 2. And I don't like, again, this is one of those cases where I don't like rounding, so I like to give it a solid number. So it's probably more of a 2.5, but I'm going to give it a 3 just because I like that ending and the story it's trying to tell. Is it this case study for film students of, what if you put Francis Ford Coppola, a 40-year-old with a 10-year-old mind, and Robin Williams in a bag and shake it? What are you going to get coming out the other end? Like that's, it's a case study. But it's also this glorious 90s snapshot. Like it is so 90s, the fashion, the music, the song at the end, the font. I mean, we've hit on all those points. And while it doesn't have the, it's no Sandlot, it's no Big, it doesn't do better that other movies have done much better. But for the strange particular story it's trying to tell of a 10-year-old and a 40-year-old man body with Robin Williams, I think it succeeds in that attempt.
John, how about you?
Oh, I'm going to sound like the massive jerk that I think we all know exists out there then. But I'm going to give it a 1. I thought this was just absolutely dreadful. I didn't see anything particularly redeeming about it. By the time it gets to the moving emotional ending, I just wanted it to end. And so I just wasn't in a place even where the emotion is there. There's no emotional appeal left at the end for me because it's just burned through all of my goodwill. So yeah, I end with a 1. I'm the heartless one. I get it. It's fine. What about you, Tristan?
Well, there are things I like about this film. Like watching it this time around as a 35-year-old man, there are still things that I enjoy, but what I don't enjoy far outweighs that, and what doesn't work is blaringly obvious, and so I give it a 2. Like I give 2.5 stars if I think something's mediocre, where it's just middle of the road, and I give 3 stars if I'm just like, like it has a lot of issues, but it's okay. It's pretty well made. I think 2 is reserved for bad films. I think this is a bad movie. Even though it has parts I like, I think this is a bad movie. And even though I love Robin Williams, I love Diane Lane, I love Francis Ford Coppola, it just doesn't work. There's too many things. It meanders in the middle. I can't even say it meanders in the middle. It meanders all throughout. Like there's so many scenes that you're watching and you're like, how is this progressing the plot? How is this even progressing character? And it's just, it just doesn't work. And that those rose-colored glasses were taken off when I watched it this time. So there you go. We have a 1, a 2, and a 3. I love when we get that diverse opinion, even though we both are ragging it out in the same way. We both feel
it's actually very rare that we all have the same number on a movie, which is nice to have that discussion.
Very true. Very true.
I agree.
I'm not as cold-hearted cynic as John, obviously. So,
well, we all know that I have a heart of stone. If we're lucky,
he clearly hates kids.
Yes, no, absolutely, clearly. That's why I had 3 of them, just so I can yell at them all the time and say, I don't like children.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. That was our show. And please join us next week as we talk about Coppola's next 90s film, The Rainmaker. You can talk to us on social media to talk about Jack or talk about the upcoming Rainmaker, or just talk about Coppola in general, or look at our past shows by going to thenerdparty.com. We got something for everybody. We got Star Wars shows, we got Star Trek shows, we got Babylon 5, it's all over the place. And Darren, real quick, where can we find you?
They can find me on my website, drsci-fi.com, DRSEIFI. There's links to everything there.
John.
Well, you can find me as Kessel Junkie on your social network of choice, and you can find me over here on the Nerd Party co-hosting Aggressive Negotiations, a Star Wars podcast with one Matthew Rushing. And Tristan, where are you at?
You can find me at The Insane Robin on Letterboxd as well as Twitter, and you can find me on this network on a show called Second Contact. We just wrapped up our season 2 of Lower Decks, and so please check that out. And thank you everyone so much for listening and subscribing. Make sure to subscribe, tell your friends about us, give us a rating if you so choose, and thank you so much for opening the door to House of Coppola.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.